Mari Fawuyi here, find your free, and yeah, we're gonna do a little blog vibes today. I'm gonna talk a little bit about Junina and some of the celebrations that are taking place here in Brazil. A really big holiday month for Brazilians. Again, it's a holiday called Junina. It's basically like a pagan harvest fest vibe. So all month, there's certain foods that are eaten during that time and different things. So I'm going to show you some of that. Also, just take you with me to a little outing for the first game for Senegal. I mean, not Senegal, but for Brazil versus Morocco. Maracos. That is for the World Cup, and Brazilians are going off for this World Cup. They really want to get another win in. Brazil is the number one largest, kind of first place winning World Cuppers in the world. So even though their team is not supposed to be all that, this time around, they're still this is the country that has won the World Cup the most. So, they love this time this time when they can celebrate their teams. So anyway, let's check it out. Let's talk about it. Peace. All right, I wanted to start this off. Before I go out this evening, I decided to buy me some pine nuts today. This is a very kind of indigenous South American, especially here in Brazil, dish that they take, especially this time of the year during what they call Junina. So basically, this is what the little piece of like the leaf of the pine cone has inside of it, a pine nut. That's where pine nuts come from. And so, but these are larger pine nuts. They call them piñón out here. So what I did is I soaked the piñons in water with salt for 20 minutes, and then I roasted them in the oven for like 25-30 minutes. And then they were like this. So I just bust them open with a knife, slide them out, and they end up being a little treat. Now, Brazilians like to cook them with garlic and stuff like that. I don't know how to do all that, but I have to get a good recipe next time. But they were good just like that. And now, look at that, we're on our way. So tonight, I'm actually headed to a event at someone's house that I don't know well, but I had gotten invited to come watch the first day of the World Cup. First day as in the first day Brazil plays. So I'm going to this area called Alto. So the area is Alto de Pinheiros. It's kind of a little more wealthier neighborhood, not too far from where I live in Villa Madalena. We're going to check the vibes. As you can see, it's night out. The streets are pretty empty, surprisingly, because everybody and their mom is going to be somewhere watching this game tonight. So as you all know, the first World Cup game that Brazil played, match was against Morocco's. And let's check it out. Still taking our time to get there. This spot is about 10-15 minutes away from where I live. So I just went ahead and called a car. You can see some of the houses here. They like to build big gates and big walls and stuff around their houses. We are here. It's the first Brazil game of the World Cup. And looking forward to it. I'm at a party at a beautiful home in Alto de Pinheiros that I was invited to. And there's a lot of people outside eating churrasco and having a great time. So, let's see what happens, okay? Brazil better win because Brazilians don't play about this. So the next day I got up, made my way to the grocery store, because that's usually my Sunday morning move, either the grocery store or the farmer's market. And I went out on the main street where all the bars and the parties are. here in Villa Magdalena called Rua Aspliquelta, and as you can see, they was out there cleaning, honey. They really go in quick and clean up everything after a good night. As you can see, a lot of the businesses are sporting their Brazilian Ordem e Progresso flags, their Pele, so they're really waiting for and ready for the kickoff of, not even the kickoff because we're already in it, but waiting to go further with this World Cup. And here we are in the train station, walking from one terminal to the next, and as you can see, they've got their gold and green flying high. And here we are at Paulista on a Sunday. So I came out of the train. I ended up having to walk because I got off at the wrong station. So on Sundays, Paulista Avenue is kind of like our Times Square. It's where we go to shop, to see people perform, to, eat street food, to vibe out. They close the streets down, so it's real easy to go from place to place. And this actual street sees millions of people on the weekends because so many people come out just to shop with vendors. If you need some incense, if you need some crystals, or you need to pick up a piece of clothing, something cute or different, or just anything you can imagine, purses, indigenous things, anything like that. You can get everything down here. So that's the kind of vibe on a Saturday and Sunday. And again, the street is always kind of blocked off, so people can walk freely and not have to worry about cars running them down, because they will do that to you out here. And as you can see, everyone was just kind of out dressed for the weather. It wasn't the most warmest day, but yeah, I was on my way to the mall, or not even to the mall. I wanted to go to hit at a department store, and I ended up doing that and the mall. Here on the left, you can see that's MASPI, so that's the big art, like the fancy art museum at the top there. It's cool. Sometimes they have some exhibitions of interest, but usually you can find, exhibitions and stuff all over the city at different galleries and stuff, especially ones that are African and Afro, centered and indigenous centered, which is more my interest. So I don't go to MASPI a lot, but I've been in there. As you can see, it's just everybody, a little bit of everybody out here. And again, this is kind of like our Times Square. You might see people out performing. There's usually people doing live music up and down the street, bringing their guitars, singing, doing karaoke, performing. There's usually flash mobs dancing up and down the road. So you'll see people, doing their group dance and their line dance, and they love that out here. I used to like to come out here, and they would have all the black folk will come out and do like a flash mob every Sunday. It was fun, but I haven't seen them lately. Here's some sculptures. I don't know what those items are made out of. Some kind of rock or stone, it looked like. Here they got some flash mobbers, some dancers doing their thing. So I wanted to answer some questions that I haven't seen under my videos. The first one that I remember seeing that I wanted to address was people asking me, how do you get an apartment in São Paulo? Like if I wanted to come and stay a few months in São Paulo with my family, or, just come and explore the long term for this city, how do you find housing? And that's a good question. Finding housing here in São Paulo is not that easy because it is a very large city, but good apartments and stuff are very competitive, and you have to have a certain degree of residency here to actually rent an apartment within the city center if you're going to go off of a platform such as Airbnb, right? So if you don't have anything but like a tourist visa here in São Paulo City, it's going to be very challenging to actually rent an apartment because you need RG, you need something showing that you have residency here. So for people who are coming to São Paulo and they think they want to stay, they want to check it out for a while, and they're just not sure, what that will look like, my suggestion is definitely start. You're going to have to, unfortunately, start on Airbnb. There are other websites where you can find temporary housing too that's particular to Sao Paulo, like different little They have different buildings and stuff here that are set up for tourists to have longer term stays in. So you can also find residents that way. But all of these things are going to be quite expensive. And Airbnb here is not cheap at all. So you will have to probably do that for a while, a month or so, just to get a sense of the area and what parts of the area and the region you want to live in, and to be able to find you something good. Now, what a lot of people do, if they're solo, if they're by themselves and they just want to maybe use this area as a base, or be able to come in and out of here, because remember, the big international airport is here. So a lot of people will base here because it is just super convenient in that way. But if you want to get a small place, they do have what you call kitchenettes, and you can kind of find them even as someone who's passing through more or doing temporary stays more readily than trying to find an actual normal apartment in São Paulo. That gets a little bit more. You really have to have your paperwork and your stuff in order to be able to make that happen, or you're going to have someone local help you and assist you in setting that up. So it is a little bit tricky, but it can be done. So that's what I would say. You're going to start on Airbnb, probably do something how I found my apartment where I live in a beautiful neighborhood here in Pinheiros area. Is I found a woman who had an attractive Airbnb on the platform, and I just went to her and I was like, have you considered doing a longer term stays, where you would let me come in and just rent the place outright? And I was surprised. It was like this woman that I hit up was just waiting for me or something. She was so open, so we hear about how racist and how messed up everyone is down here. But this woman gave us a chance straight out the gate. She met my kids. She liked my kids a lot. I think that's what was sealed it for her. And so we went ahead and signed the lease. It took a couple of months. And at the time, me and my children were staying in a small apartment that didn't fit us. That was on the Airbnb platform. And we were blessed. The guys that rented that to us, it was in like a very modern building, had a lot of amenities. So we were really lucky with that. But it was just tiny. And so, yeah, we signed the lease, we moved in, and it's been great ever since. It was a little bit of a rocky start, but we got it together, and we've been in that apartment for over probably about, 14 months now, I think. So, yeah, these are the kind of opportunities you can find through, just finagling and finding your way and asking questions and talking to people, especially through the different platforms. But yeah, that's what housing kind of looks like out here. Kind of tricky. Now, if you wanted to move to the outskirts of the city more, you probably have more options that were more affordable. Maybe not as nice. Definitely not as many amenities. Probably not as much access to things that you would be needing, especially as a person coming from somewhere like the United States or Europe or whatever. You're going to want nice grocery stores. You're going to want, access to nice markets. You're going to want good shopping around. All of those things are found more here in the city centers. And that can get pretty pricey and very competitive in terms of finding a decent property to live in. So, yeah, y'all, that's my take on that. And another question that I also had seen come up, a sister had asked me, are there really a lot of diverse things for children and youth to do here in Sao Paulo? And, with it being Junina right now and thinking about all of the activities and the festivities that they are doing right now for the Junina, which is basically harvest festivals. It's a pagan tradition that comes from Portugal and from, Spain and then those parts of the world, and more Iberia, what they used to call it. They translated that through colonialism over here to Brazil, and they kind of kept it secularized. So Junina is a time when there's nothing but, child-friendly and family-friendly events going on for weeks in June. But in general, I would say this city, Definitely has a lot of kid-friendly events and things, and exhibitions, and not just art exhibitions, but places where they can do experiential stuff. Like, for instance, right now they have an activity where you can go and kind of simulate being on the Titanic. So kind of dark, right? But it is kind of fun for kids. They like that kind of stuff. And so that is an option as well, is to do different, experiential and more hands-on activities. There's zoos here. They're not the quality of what I'm used to. They've got an aquarium here. It's not what I'm used to, but all those things are here. Now, what I really love about this city are the amazing parks full of different activities, great city parks. Obviously, I love art, so I'll definitely be up in them galleries. And if you want, you can go just slightly outside of the city, and there's waterfalls and mountains, and be like, Sao Paulo is so beautiful. Okay, and it's when you go outside of the city, you really get to see, wow, even the state of Sao Paulo is really gorgeous as well. And so it is really a lovely area. People take that for granted. They think Sao Paulo is just all concrete and bricks. But look where I'm at now. I'm in the city. Like, look at it. It's super green. So, it might not be like normal tropical green, but it's pretty tropical. And it's very green all year round. And, folks have a great time right here in this city, okay? And I love it because I'm a bush baby. I like a lot of nature. I've been living in the Caribbean for years with my kids. We've lived on islands in different parts of the world. Islands are always super nature-esque, and we have lived on several of them. So I'm an island girl mostly. So, this kind of thing needs to be my day-to-day experience. I need to be seeing this every day. I got to come out my house, go walking, and see green everywhere. And so I have made sure to give us that experience, even though we are in an urban area. But yeah, that's what I would say is there's tons to do. Now, you can feel kind of isolated here when you have especially older kids, like teens, because if they haven't started building relationships with other teens yet, you don't really see the teenagers like that out and about here because they have very particular hours that they're in school and like different weird schedules. Their schooling is different here. And so you really might not even run into teens that much. I'm gonna keep it real. And then it seems like they probably just go straight to different activities or whatever, like they're more controlled. So you don't see them really. So it starts to feel a little isolating, like, where are the children? And you'll see little kids, but it's like, where's the youth at? And that has been kind of weird to me, but they're here, but they just have their own thing going on. And since my son isn't in their public schools, he's not really exposed to all of that. So sometimes we feel a little bit like, man, we're in a city with nothing but 20-year-olds, because it is kind of a young city. It has a feel of being more youthful, more counterculture, very, very pride, super, super pride. Like I guess most urban areas are right now, but very LGBTQ, like, whoa. So, for me, I don't necessarily run into those environments. Like, yeah, that's ideal. But I do appreciate the ability to move around and not feel like you're being judged all the time because people are checking for what you're doing. Like, it's super chill here. It's not like being somewhere like in France or somewhere where people are judging every move you make. Or even in the Caribbean, it can be like that. Here it's chill. People kind of more or less leave you the hell alone, which is wonderful. That's how we like it. And it's part of that being super, super woke. Okay, it's a very so-called woke culture here in this city, more or less. I mean, for sure, you got your conservatives and your people who love to march for like the super conservative political parties that show off all their wealth, because the conservative thing also kind of goes with the more wealthier Brazilians. So, which is typical. So yeah, you see all of that, but ultimately, this city it's good. It's good for youth and children. I don't know if it's the best. in terms of youth activities and children activities, but they are here. And you have to find them and you have to go out of your way and make it happen. If you come here with kids, it's not going to be a passive, easy experience. But I've never seen anywhere that was. And I don't care what age range the child is, you know. You always, as a parent, have to take charge and facilitate things for the children to be able to acclimate socially, to be able to have a good time. So, yeah. All right, and I had one more question that I wanted to actually address, which was people asking, you know, how can you stay in Brazil? You know, what is the visa situation like? And basically, most people are going to come on what they call the tourist visa. So yeah, you apply for the tourist visa, and what you get when you come into Brazil with the tourist visa is a 3-month stay. Okay, so you get 90 days. Inside of that 90 days, if you decide that, you know, Brazil is somewhere you need to explore further or you want to stay longer term, then you can apply at the Polícia Federal for a extension on that 30 days to another, that's 90 days to another 90 days. So in total, you get 180 days in Brazil to explore and to, you know, discover. And at the end of that time, you need to be, you know, having some travel plans to leave. You also need to make sure you come into Brazil with a round trip flight ticket. This can get tricky here, and I have had some issues. I'll do a story time about it later on in a different video. But basically, you want to make sure you have a good round trip ticket set up for you to go back to preferably back to your home country. If you try to make it look like you're going anywhere else, it gets really, really weird. Okay? And so that is what you get for a tourist visa. Now, if you know you want to come stay in Brazil, maybe you've been here before, but you're not sure what it takes to come and do a little longer term as of right now in 2026. In the last couple of years, they have instituted the digital nomad visa. So the digital nomad visa is a process to apply for. You have to have your certain documents apostilled, like an FBI background check, as well as your birth certificates. And there's different things you need to go by and follow in order to get granted the digital nomad visa. But it is a year visa that is renewable for another year. So it's worth it, especially if you think you want to come and stay in Brazil for a lengthy amount of time. That is another option. Staying long term after that, the options get a little bit more complex or more expensive, to be honest. So that is, when you're getting into the territory of, applying for visas based upon investments that you've made here in the country, okay, or real estate purchases you've made that have to be quite high and expensive in order for you to be able to get a residency based upon them. Businesses that you've invested in that are employing pretty much mostly Brazilian people, you have an option there. Those numbers are very specific, and I don't want to quote wrong. So, those are a couple of the options for applying for a long-term stay or residency here through a visa, okay? So basically, through investing in an actual business or, basically real estate purchases. Also, you can, no. All right, and so some other options for being able to stay in Brazil long term based on, temporary residency and permanent residency visas have to do with real estate purchases, investing in businesses that employ Brazilians. These are all options, but these are for people who are looking to invest at, over the 100K USD mark. As well, they have options for gaining your residency through childbearing. So if you come out here pregnant, or you meet someone here and you get pregnant and you have the baby here in Brazil, that does open up your options for eventually working towards permanent residency and maybe even citizenship down the line. So that is one option. Also, a lot of people, they come and maybe they meet someone here in Brazil. They go ahead and they get married, or they do a bona fide partnership application so that they can stay here based upon having a partner here or being married here. That's another option. So childbirth, relationships, so not just marriage, but long-term relationships, and having a marriage, being married here in Brazil, will make you a candidate for a longer term visa or stay. My suggestion is that y'all come out here to Brazil, figure out what part of the country you're interested in spending your time, and base there, so that you can actually move around out here, and just make sure that you're going through the processes and renewing your visas while you do that, right? Because you're going to want to see more than just one part of Brazil. Brazil, it is a very massive country, but you are going to want to travel to some of the different cities. That's why I prefer living in the South, because there's more places around that I can travel to relatively easily by bus, because they have excellent ground transportation here. And so it's not the cheapest. Moving from place to place here is not that cheap. Flights are pricey, and so can the bus be. But if you're just going, like for instance, we live about 5 hours from Rio de Janeiro, so we can easily take a bus up there for less than 20-30 bucks, not expensive at all. And so that kind of opportunity is really pleasant and great. Now, I've also lived in Bahia, where there's just so much to see inside the state of Bahia. Not so much. I mean, the primary cities that you're going to want to experience would definitely be Salvador, maybe some areas around Salvador, Morro de São Paulo, Itacaré, and then maybe down in the south, you might want to check out, Trancoso and that area. So, but there is a lot to see. And then if you're really adventurous, you might even head out west to Chapada Diamantina and that area. Bahia is amazing. But yeah, when you pick an area of Brazil, you ground down, you get yourself going with some ground transportation and see, just how amazing this country is. And it's unforgettable. I don't know too many people who come out here and just keep it moving after they come to Brazil. It's life-changing. You're going to want to come back over and over again, or just come and stay, whether it's legally or illegally. This is just a fact. Mostly everyone that comes here will do anything to get back, and usually don't want to leave unless they have some real pressing things they need to get back to. So that's just Brazil. It's amazing. So yeah. All right, y'all. Peace. Thank you so much for joining me. So basically, I'm going to I'm going to get some more footage of some of the World Cup festivities, Junina festivities this weekend, but it'll be for a next video. So stay tuned. Check out my shorts. Also, I just uploaded a couple of shorts showing the museum, the Museo Afro, where I'll be taking people who come to visit this month or next month or whenever it is, to experience some of the Afro-Brazilian art that's featured there here in São Paulo, where I live. So if you're coming to Brazil, if you're going to spend a few days in São Paulo, you should do a street art tour with me, or a gallery tour, or whatever it is you're into. We also feature, a stop at all of the tours at an Afro-Brazilian restaurant, so you can experience the food of the folks of this country, okay? And also, yeah, we're just here. We're giving thanks. It should be a lot of energy this weekend with Junina and everything. It's kind of coming to the end of the month, so everyone's going to be partying and festejando, okay? Festejar, that's how they say, having parties and festivals and enjoying. So yeah, we're gonna do that. And if you are looking for consultation services for you and your family, you're thinking to move abroad, you're not sure how to get started or how to choose a place or you know, you just don't really know how to get started, we can help. I've been doing this for over 20 years now, moving and living in different countries with my kids, so I can support on that as well. We have our links to our Via Tour and our Get Your Guide. If you want to schedule tours, you can go there. And yeah, lots of services and some ebooks and all that good stuff for you all. So yeah, check below, and thank you so much. Please put a like and a subscribe on the video to show us a little love, and even better, a comment below. Okay, peace, peace. Find your free.